I welcome the input today. Look, I think it's not. It's a no-brainer, really, that we should be absolutely backing these initiatives. I'm very interested in the deep retrofitting of homes, and all of us, I think, who represent people in our constituency will acknowledge that the quality of housing in this country, it can be very, very poor. There is a lot of dampness, a lot of condensation. Building has been done in a shoddy and a quick and a bad way in the past. In a lot of older council estates, the housing is very old, and it absolutely does require the deep retrofitting that is talked about. And I think we should try and find a way of strongly recommending this in our report, not just alone in dealing with climate change, but it's also very sensible for the long-term, good quality, healthy lifestyle of our population, and it has the added benefit of creating tens of thousands of sustainable long-term jobs. So I think this should be a strong input into our report, as should the wind energy and the solar energy and all the rest. Would I just like to make one observation, and that is, I mean, there's no doubt you couldn't say no to anything that's been said here. From a scientific point of view, from a societal point of view, it's all terribly sensible. How do we force our governments and the next government to take this serious enough to ring-fence the financing and the efforts that are required to ensure that it happens in a timely way? Because we are looking at a race against time. And in your contribution, when you say nearly 15 years later the opportunity has not been seized after you start building the Arklow offshore energy bank, that's quite shocking, really. 15 years is a long time, and if we keep doing this, then we are insane. So we do have to have a discussion, I think, as well as listening to the science, to the technology and the submissions on all of the areas. We do have to have a discussion about how politically we can force this onto the agenda, that this government takes it serious. And I would also like to mention, because we've had it in the past where we looked at a project on the Aran Islands off the west coast, small-scale community projects like that, and like the one the lads are engaged in from St Fintan's and Sutton to try and solar power their school, they matter just as much. Because if politically at the top we're not being listened to, then this has to be driven by the grassroots from below. And I think we have to use the examples of schools and communities that are trying to politically get us to change and work with the companies who are leading the technology as well at the same time.
Very much, Deputy. I'll bring in Deputy Ryan and then Deputy Stanley.